future. And one here. Alright. What I really want you to do, just like I want you. Da 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 da. Peace and blessings, y'all. How are you? I know I just put another video out. Put a couple of them out, but it is approximately 6:03 Saturday morning. I know you're saying, Gerald, what the hell are you doing up this early? Well, actually, you know how they say proverbially, the early bird is the worm. And I am, bear with me, because I'm real with that. I'm a firm believer that when you decide to be still, you gather your most insight. It is given intuitively. It just so happened I am a Pisces, and everything they say about Pisces, it is true. I hear crazy, I don't know what, but that's okay. It's 6 in the morning. Alright, I can work that. But, yeah, I woke up 4 o'clock this morning and got my coffee. That's right, you know what's up. But, this message, the Holy Spirit put something on my heart while I was sleeping. And it really shook me. It shook me so much it brought me out of my sleep. And it felt like something happened that should not have happened. And there was an injustice that took place. Now, it's no secret that my queens, I love each and every one of you. You are beautiful in your own right. So, just in case someone has not let you know that, you acknowledge your presence first and foremost. You are the template of your destiny. So it's very, very important that you love yourself. Even if that means you are walking by yourself. You may be in a place in your life where you are supposed to be alone anyway. So embrace this time of your life. Because when you look back to where you're headed, you're going to be glad you did. You're going to be glad you did. But I look crazy. I'm not rolling with that. It is what it is. So, but yeah, I had this feeling in my spirit, and it was very, very disturbing. And so I said, you know what, I got to speak on it. I got to. I know you said, well, Gerald, just say it, Gerald. You're going around the block. Okay. This is going to be some truth serum for you, my queens, but for my kings, this also applies as well. Far too many times, you know, we all self-discover our strengths and weaknesses, right? But see, it seems like society is convinced and put a lot of investment in causing discourse or causing things to be unstable, and a lot of times we condone things we should not, and then have to pick the pieces up. And it seems like now we are in the cycle, a cycle where it is so carnal that, you know, it's become the way of life. And I'm here to tell you that is not the case. My queens, I think that I'm supposed to put this out to somebody that needs to hear this. If you are concerned about your destiny, thank you, my angels. Talk about synchronicity. I'm here to tell you, the only way that you can step into your lineage, your legacy, you have to do it with one step at a time. And the only way you can do that is being true to yourself. Being able to truly invest in what makes you, you. Because there's far too many times there are examples of what is idolized. You know, you will never see 1,001 you walking around. That is why it is very imperative that you invest in yourself so you can be truly the exception to the rule. Because that's what makes you unique. There is only one you. And since there is only one you, there is one life. Therefore, there is one moment. But it seems like society wants to, and I'm not beating up on society, but it's about taking stock and responsibility in your life. Far too long has there been illusions. We call them advertisement. We call it, that's used in the mainstream to socially attack you and attack the way you think. My queens, I'm the first one to tell you this. I love each and every one of you because you are who you are. But there's a responsibility that comes with your name that identifies who you are from the person next to you. Now, with that being said, if you have a position where you feel that your physical attributes is going to help you or springboard you into where you're going, I hate to tell you, that is a road that does not go nowhere. Your future is not measured by your bra strap or what you can do behind closed doors. The only thing that'll come out of that is, yes, physically, you may have earned a PhD, but emotionally, you will have, unfortunately, slept on yourself. And a lot of times what happens is, you see it, let's talk about it. Society has embraced so much things that are taboo, such as being a kept woman. I call that the modern day slave, because though it seems glamorous from the outside, there's a price to be a kept person. Now here's what's funny, because a kept person is really a person that is signed an agreement, through verbal or written, to play a role, not take the lead. There are very many similarities, as well as in any establishment and institution. There are guidelines. There are rules and obligations that are required for you to reap the benefit of fellowship. But does that really serve who you are? or does it deplete what you're about? You know, and which is funny though, because you see a lot of people that have embarked on this to only turn around and have to do some emotional therapy on the back end. But what is really used as a price is time. You know how ladies sometimes, you've said this, and one time you may have had somebody of significance and they said, well, you know what, I'm not getting any younger. This is the prime of my life. Now, as I said in my last video, when you took your first breath, did God give you a stopwatch? Because if He didn't, why are you running through your life like a Roman candle? My young queens, if you're under the age of 20, slow down, slow down, slow down. If you're using your body as a means to feel accepted, when you get older, you will come to realize that you're going to regret it. Because what's going to happen is, when it's time to tap into what makes you, you're not going to have that resource when it's needed. And you don't deserve to feel that pain or anguish. My queens, my beloved queens, if you feel that you've got to make certain concessions just to feel accepted, that ain't your environment to be in. If you're in an environment that is more or less a play to pay mindset, that ain't the environment you're supposed to be in. See, you got to understand, the more authentic you are, the more authentic the things that are entitled to you will be revealed. That's why for those that may be in relationship, that's why they fail. And they're going to continue to fail. Why? Because that's not rightfully yours. That's why you cannot use manipulation, cunningness, or worse, deception. See, do you realize that every time you make a concession to not speak your truth, that's more investment that you have to do just to gain the footing that you initially needed? Which means you've got to get to a place inside you to be courageous, to define what you need. It can't be done. It can't be done through anger. You can't strong arm your life thinking that, oh, that's the way I'm going to make it in the world. It doesn't work that way. You have to earn what's rightfully yours, or it will never last. That is why the Great Wall of China is there. That is why the Taj Mahal is there. That is why the pyramids are there. They're there because it was done one brick at a time. It was built to last. And shouldn't your life be that way? To last. If you are emotionally going through a turnstile in your life and you're trying to understand why these people are attracted to me but they never stick around, they don't stick around because they're not you. And you should thank them for that, because you should be gaining some insight out of that experience. Now listen, don't get me wrong, I'm not wishing not one moment, not one tear in pain to be bestowed on you. But what I want you to do is to go deep with yourself What are you afraid of? When are you going to have that conversation with you? You know, that little girl that's inside you that has been beating inside your heart, just saying, when are you going to come back to me? Why are you constantly disrespecting my body? Why are you constantly disrespecting who you are, your self-worth and self-esteem? When you know you're not supposed to walk with them. Because you know every time that you walk with them, they're going to have you doing things that you know rightfully you're not supposed to. You wasn't raised that way. Come on now. This ain't nothing new. So the question you need to ask yourself is this. Is the price of where your life is right now worth the pain that you carry, the emotional baggage you carry, the disappointment you carry every day? Because guess what? The more and more you take a position to compartmentalize that truth, you know that truth that you, in your mirror, you look in the mirror every day and say, well, and have that conversation about what you would say and how you would say it. Oh, to be dumbfounded when the opportunity presents itself. Why? Because that's nothing but fear. You know fear. Finally, everything's a reality. And fear is nothing but spoken truth without a voice. That is why your voice is not being heard. That is why when you look around in your environment and you're out and about, there's always one person that feels that they got to be louder than everybody else for that attention. Why? Because that's exactly what it is. Their spirit, their essence of what makes you you is so depleted in that you are willing to get negative attention, hoping that it will give you the validation of your presence, when it is actually you define your presence. Don't you realize, as I said, and I'm going to keep saying, you're a woman. You're a queen. You have the natural gift of nurturement. That's why you were created to have and inherit the title of mother. Because you're given the gift of nurturement. Think about it. That is why you're constantly thinking about things. That's why you can't cut that brain off. But if your psyche is formed through pain, it's through trauma. Some of you've got so much trauma in you that you're just barely holding it together. You're just one moment from a nervous breakdown because you're afraid that if you allow the world to see who you are, you won't be accepted. But every day when you wake up and wipe the coal out of your eyes and brush those pearly whites, you've already surrendered. And the question is why? Here's another thing that blows my mind. You allow society to define your worth, define your beauty. I saw something the other day that blew my mind. You know, I'm a Pisces. I'm always aware of what's going on. I'm always observing. I'm always looking. I'm always taking it in. That's what we do. That's why we are naturally intuitive. We feel things. We see things. And 9 times out of 10, if you got a Pisces in your life and they tell you something, it is very imperative that you take heed. Because they 9 times out of 10, they're dead on. So I'm out and about, and I'm at your local, your local Walmart, right? I had to go get some. And I saw this queen. Now, this is funny, figuratively though. Everything that was about her was altered. from the stuff she had on, she had her hair covered, how she carried herself, and what she projected. And here's the funny thing about it. She needed none of that. See, one thing I'm gonna let you know, I'm gonna let you into a little secret, okay? Because I know a lot of you don't realize this, and you keep catching it each and every time. See, a real man, first of all, is going to be sincere. He's not going to strong arm you. He's going to try to walk with you. But if he's not spiritually grounded, guess what? Run like hell. Run like hell. Because he doesn't know who he is. He's in transition himself. That's why relationships, that's why one-night stands exist. Because all that is he's trying to find his place. He's trying to find his mate. Which in actuality is wrong anyway, because the fact that your mate, loved one, will enter into your life after you've made yourself authentic. But if you've decided to make yourself a false image of who you really are, guess what? You will embrace more pain and disappointment until you do. That is why it is very, very important to stay true to you. Because two things are going to happen out of it. Two things. Number one, you're being spiritually protected, for one. So what will happen is those people that do not share a like-mindedness with you, they can't relate to you. They'll automatically go. They won't even deal with you because it takes, you know how they say proverbially birds of a feather flock together. What you got to talk about unless you're on the same page? And then the second thing is that the more and more that you invest in yourself, you know, I mean it's a trifecta. Mind, body, and soul. But see, it's funny because a true man can identify where you are. See, that was the one gift that your higher power, I know him as my Lord Jesus Christ. When that man finally decides to embrace his journey, his spiritual walk, the things that may have been hidden will be revealed. They're revealed to make him the best person he is destined to be. So with that, as he grows and evolves, so will the gifts and blessings to be responsible, so he doesn't squander that. That's why sometimes you may come in contact with someone, you say, well, he looks a certain way, he sounds a certain way, but he's boring. Actually, he's boring to you because he has things he can teach you to better yourself. But as long as you keep falling into that proverbial mind trap, I know some of you are not going to like this, but I'm going to show you something. Do you realize the same thing that you do for attention is the same thing that a child does, a baby does when it cries? So what happens when a parent consoles the child? It brings something shiny to get its attention. And that same process has been going on since, and will continue to go on, because it takes a little bit to get your attention. So if you're not emotionally grounded, well, little Johnny Neckbone will keep using his whip or his material assets to get your attention, when in actuality that's all he has. And as you already realize, if you don't, materialism will never make you whole. It'll never make you happy. It takes more, and you should demand that. That's the definition of being yoked. But see, a lot of times what happens is you end up paying a price that is so deep, so hurtful, and it leaves a scar more so emotionally than it is physically. And unfortunately, sometimes there is physical ramifications that come out of that. Now, for some of you guys that are into metaphysics or holistic learnings, because as you evolve, you'll come to see everything intertwines into itself. Everything. But you also know about the term toxic relationships. Some also people know it as karmatic relationships. Karmatic relationships happen through the law of attraction. You can't avoid it. It happens because that's where you are emotionally and physically. That is why if you're in a physical state, if you put so much focus on your physicality, say for example you are very aggressively intimate sexually, haven't you noticed that's all you attract? Oh, because as I always convey to you this, what is found in your heart is your reality. So in your heart, you want to feel physically safe, right? You're going to attract lovers. That's all you're going to attract. Well, guess what? They're not going to love you. They're not going to love you. They're going to use you. And at first it's going to seem very titillating because you're trying something new, but little do you know, every time you do that, it takes you one step away from the one that is destined. That's his responsibility. That's part of what being intimate is. But you can't understand intimacy until you're intimate with yourself. As I mentioned in a video, a couple videos back, Yana Van Dance uses this. This is hers, and this is her phrase. And Mrs. Van Dance, if you see this, peace and blessings to you. But she coined the phrase well. Intimacy is into me I see. So can you look inside yourself? And when you do look inside yourself, what do you see? Does it make you smile or does it make you cry? Do you realize on this planet there's a shortage of men? Because there's an abundance of little boys running around in men's bodies. And there's even an epidemic of spiritual men available. Why? Because it was divinely set up this way. If it was meant for you to have the one right out the gate, how could you grow? Now you do understand this, my queens, and I'm not beating you up because I love you. And I ain't let you off the hook either, my kings, and I'm gonna get you on the back end. You do realize that as long as you stay on the path of being shallow, being arrogant, not speaking your truth and defining your name, your life will only go but so far without a spiritual man in it. But let me throw this disclaimer out, because I know some women think that they're smarter than the average slickster, and you've turned around you had the audacity. You went out there and ran out there and got Mr. Steve Harvey's book and incorporated that as a playbook on dealing with men. Let me tell you something. Number one, hear my words. Number one, you're not a man. And with that aspect, every time you take it upon yourself to step out of who you are, you also attract the negativity that comes with it. That is why when you go out there chasing a man, the only thing that you're going to find out of that is the physicality of it. And guess what? What happens? Who pays the price? You do. Because guess what? Because it was shallowly built. There was no investment in it. After he finishes investing inside you, he's going to withdraw and leave you alone. Because guess what? You will not, I repeat, Your last name will remain the same until you decide to authenticate who you are. So, with that being said, you have to fall back in love with yourself. Take all the time that you need to fall back in love with yourself. You cannot find yourself through being promiscuous. You will not. Because what you're dealing with on a spiritual sense, is you are dealing with the spirit of Jezebel too. For those who do not know who Jezebel is, well, look it up here. Put it this way. See, you got to understand. You know how in the Bible it says about the body is a temple and you're supposed to protect it, right? And you also know that to be spiritually yoked, you must be authentic, correct? But you do know that every time that you decide to lay down, allow someone to enter your temple, you also invoke a transition of that person's spirit into you. It's in your DNA. So guess what? If they're not in your best interest, you're going to learn their bad habits. And vice versa. That is why you always see this. Whoever has the stronger of the two spirits, the weaker will take on the personality traits of the strong. That's why when you see your girlfriend and she's got that new man that she knows nothing about but what is found between his legs, she will know what his euphoric release is needed and how to do that, because he's going to train her. But guess what? It's going to leave her broken. And that is not a way to go, because what will happen is, as long as you stay on that path, what will happen is, in the divine time and moment, the one will be revealed to you. Some of y'all don't even realize it. You probably already come in contact with the one in your past and didn't even know it. You didn't see the value of it because you didn't know who you were. And what will happen is, I call it is synchronicity, or better yet, serendipity. Some people call it fate. All things hidden will be made revealed, and all things lost shall be found. And all things that were unknowledge shall be, because this is about divine order. Some people call it karma. That's why everything comes around in full circle. So it is very important that you prepare yourself for that, for yourself. Number one, you deserve that. Number two, you know, as I always say, an enemy will walk with you as long as they have to, just to make sure you meet your demise. But one thing I've also known is this: a fraud don't need your help to expose himself. But you cannot understand that until you learn to discern. So I cannot stress this to you, sweetheart. If they're not willing to invest in you, they should not be able to have the harvest that comes of being with you. I'm just saying. They don't call it fool's gold for nothing. And you deserve every day to be like your smile, like the sun. So smile, baby. Smile. Be proud of who you are. And don't leave your validation to someone to dictate. You dictate that by defining who you are. And let the real you that's found inside your heart come out. Because trust and believe, there'll be people that will truly, truly treasure it. I mean, I'm just saying. So stop compromising yourself, because right now society is nothing. All society is doing right now is teaching our young women and our women to be seductress, mistresses, kept woman. And what is the common denominator in all three of those? Lost and confused. And that's a burden you should not, I repeat, should not inherit with your name. You're destined to be the matriarch of your family tree. So, from one spiritual man to you, my queens, we need you to invest in yourself. So, as I mentioned before, if you, let's call it what it is. We are in an environment where there's a lot of emotional baggage and trauma that spawned from childhood. May it be from molestation, physical assaults, addictions of all kinds, and it's left you feeling like you're alone, like you don't matter. Guess what? Every time you take your breath, that's a validation that you do. Well, you are required to define who you are. You have to see your worth. You cannot find or define your worth on your back. It does not matter if you're out there sleeping with everybody and not loving yourself. You know, if you're in a position where you condone bad behavior by like, it is what it is, that ain't nothing but a cry for help. If you compromise yourself by your tone or how you carry yourself out in the world, because we all have free will, and then you turn around and go home behind closed doors and curse yourself out for carrying yourself in a nature that ain't you, I cannot stress this. Get counseling. Get counseling. Don't turn to your family. Don't turn to your friends. The most courageous step you can do is talk about synchronicity. Only the strong survive. The greatest gift you can give yourself, and which will be the key to unlock who you are. Seek advice from someone that does not have an ulterior motive. Go to a counselor. If you're actively in church, seek a spiritual advisor and discern. Learn to discern what is being revealed. You do understand, for those that desire to one day to be a wife, your marriage does not and will not be based off of what you can do behind the bedroom. You won't keep your man that way. You won't. You have to be his best friend, and he's to be your rock, and vice versa. But if you're in an environment right now where the world is your oyster, but you still feel depleted, you still feel like you are missing something, well, guess what? That something is you. And what's going to happen is your greatest commodity, which is time, is going to move forth. And your body is going to come back to say, well, hey, did you treat me right? Or did you abuse me? Or did you allow people to abuse me? Because all you wanted to do is feel safe or validated. You validate yourself. You validate yourself. Because guess what? You know the one, that guy you dream about, him, he is depending on that you make sound choices. So that when your higher power, your Lord Jesus Christ says, hey, you both did the work, it's time to bring you guys together. The two shall become one. The yoke. Don't that look like church? It looks like man and woman, don't it? At the altar, huh? At the altar. That should be the end goal. If you turn around playing house, or you spend more time on your back Then you do your feet, you're compromising yourself, and guess what? They don't love you. They're using you and hoping that they can get one more day to keep playing this out. Don't do yourself like that, okay? Lastly, not to cheat you, my kings, it's no secret. Women are very tired of your behavior. There are far too many little boys running around with material assets that are influencing the impressionable. It's up for you to define who you are. It starts by you respecting yourself and planting your feet and walking into your destiny. If you don't have a spiritual relationship, I highly encourage that you do, because the moment that you do, things that were hidden will be revealed to you. Things that you need to know will be revealed, man. You deserve it. The life that you have now is not destined for you. What is required, your higher power, known as my Lord Jesus Christ, He requires action. That's why He says, ask. If you have not asked not, I can't, basically, you have to speak it into existence. If you haven't asked for it, ask for Him to help you with a pure heart, submissive heart. He's not going to give you favor. You ain't asked for it, you ain't going to get it, pretty much. Now, for those who are also on that side of the coin, if you've been running around and using your measuring stick to get ahead of life, what's going to happen is you're going to be catching some stuff in more ways than one. But more importantly, you're going to have a lot of shame. You're going to have a lot of shame and guilt, because you're going to come to realize that the people that you were measuring, they were only using you for its intention. There was no investment at the get-go. Because I'm going to tell you something too, my kings. A lot of women, I know women are going to be mad as hell, but I'm going to let you know, because I say this in love. Did you know that it is not you that decides who you're going to sleep with or not? The woman makes that decision before she walks out of her house. She actually knows this 5 seconds after she's already made contact with you too. So all this is entertainment. That's right, my queens. Well, you're not queens, because a real woman, she can be truthful in her actions, and that's why they say you reap what you sow. So don't play yourself or play with yourself in a proverbial sense, because your life is precious and time is your commodity. Do not squander it, because if you do, what is going to happen is someone is going to live your life. Someone is going to embrace your dreams. Someone is going to reap your destined harvest. Why? Because they saw the worth of it, and they're going to cultivate it while you were slipping. I know some of you guys will be saying, well, I don't care. It's like Lay's potato chips. I drop one, I'll make more. There'll be more out there. Well, guess what? Why you selling? Why you selling? So get yourself together. Start loving yourself. Be truthful with yourself. And watch what your higher power does. Watch the reality He's going to show you outside your door. If you're in a dark situation right now, you don't know up from down, then make this a time while you're down to look up and call upon Him. Because all things are through Him. He is the way. But He can't connect with you until you open your heart and speak your truth. Okay? I love each and every one of you. I do. But it's your responsibility to love yourself first. Love yourself first. Because I'm going to tell you what. The enemy, those people, they will smile in your face. They will tell you what you want to hear and keep you confused. The reason they do this, the reason why they use deception the way they do, because they can't afford, they can't afford for you to realize who you are, how great you are. Because once you do, the moment you do, they know that you are going to walk into your peace. You're going to step into your truth, and you're going to leave that alone. And they can't afford that because you're not taking leadership in your life. You're playing a position in theirs. But I'm a firm believer, and I'm going to wrap this up. For those that are wanting to live the life of the skeptic, for those who want to burn the candles on both ends, let me tell you something. And I say this with humility, because it took me 25 years to understand this myself. Every false truth, every injustice, every deceptive choice that you've made, you're going to have to answer for that. You know how I always say energy out is energy in? So if you're walking in a position of arrogance, watch that arrogance come back. If you're walking in that the shoes of being malicious, you're going to learn not to do that. That is what karma or I know it as divine intervention is. You go through pain to teach you not to do it. That is why the lesson is what it is, and that is why I can't stress it. My queens, save your virtue. Save your virtue. Stop letting these thieves in the temple exploit you. Exploit your mind. Exploit your body, having you doing things you ain't supposed to be doing. It's not blessed. But you know what? I got a feeling that you already know that too. So until you have the courage to claim your life, speak your truth, well, you can't be free of it until you're authentic. And that means you have to be honest with yourself. So I've given you all the tools that you need to claim your life. It's your life. I can't do it for you, but I will definitely pray for you. I will. I'm committed to that. Because I know somebody prayed for me. And you deserve to have the life intended. And one more thing too. You know what happens to folks that don't want to invest in their life? You already know they end up, when it's all said and done, they end up being alone. But what'll end up happening is the resentment and bitterness of not having the courage to do the work and change authentically will eventually consume them. That's why, unfortunately, people turn to suicide, drugs, alcoholism, and worse, sexual exploitation. The pain that you feel cannot go away because you're on your back. That's what makes it even worse, because to be still means you must allow your mind and your body time to heal. Can a diamond shine if it's not polished? Therefore, it's chastised through pressure, and the impurities are made released. Your life is a diamond, so let it shine. God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, talk about synchronicity. Be the boss of your life. Define it. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Like and subscribe. I'm also on Google Plus. And if you're going through something, you need some unbiased advice, by all means, hit me with the inbox, or you can hit me up at Google Plus as well. But I would love to hear from you, okay? We're all walking into our destinies. And when all the work is said and done, when you look back, you should smile, because you're living authentic. Stay blessed, y'all. Stay protected. And lastly, have a great weekend and great week. But more importantly, stay you. Bye for now. Love to hear from you. Bye.